Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula, is addressing the media. Let's go there live.
To maintain that, everybody sitting down, not standing. So it's quite impressive work that we've seen. And in terms of the lockdown, and the Gautrain service is back to lockdown from Pretoria to Johannesburg. And I've said to the staff and management led by the CEO, sometimes we preach things in theory, but when it comes to practice, it is something else. Of course, we will improve based on the practice. When the numbers come in, we'll have to actually improve. But our call still goes to South Africans. As you can see, the discipline, the order still continues. We must not be alarmed when we see people in the streets driving and all of that. It's because they are responding and there is an outcome of lockdown 4. And the epidemiologists led by Dr. Karim have said to us, South Africa, don't open up your industries abruptly, just like that. It will shock the system. You've got to take it in different stages. And that is why we've got 5 alert stages and we're at number 4 now. And this is where we are in terms of opening up industries in terms of the lockdown. But overall, I'm quite impressed. It's all systems go, and they will replicate this also to Metro Rail. As you know that the Metro Rail and the Underprasa is also faced with a mammoth of task. And what it means is that good elements out of this must be replicated that side. But use the period where we have closed down Metro Rail throughout the country to upgrade, refurbish, and they will also come back systematically. It will not be boom at the go, but eventually it will come to what we call the new normal. And the new normal means it is now in the law. Before you leave your house, get your cloth around you, cover your nose, and then cover your mouth. And when you get into public places, ensure you've got that covered. But those who've got the responsibility, like Gautrain and the taxis, they must ensure inside the service you've got sanitizing. People do sanitize, and that's what needs to happen. You give them the sanitize. In Gautrain, they do it through the booth. Before you even enter, you get disinfected. Gautrain itself, in terms of its carriages, they are disinfected. They do it manually now. They are going to do it even in terms of their own innovation. They are going to improve the technological aspect of it. But at the present moment, they do the sanitization and the fumigation of the carriages manually. So this is the new normal, and this is what we are responding to as per the outline from the health experts and the National Command Council, chaired by the President. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we are ready. I'm with the CEO. I'm also with the MEC. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right,
Ayanda?
Let's take some questions. Colleagues, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. 2 questions, Alma Schutz. For KFM News, can you just explain the decision, Minister, between how Gautrain and how Metro Rail are opening differently? And then just for Spotlight News, you said that the transport sector in general, so not just the Gautrain, is looking at new innovations and how it can be structured. You said that last week. Could you give us some more information, please?
Thank you so much. Do we have
Well, let us take those questions because we don't have a pen to write. The memory is older now. You can see the hair and so on. First,
Metro Rail versus Gautrain.
Yeah, Metro Rail versus Gautrain. Metro Rail is a massive operation. Massive. Tens and thousands of people. So we have said that in this period of the lockdown 4, they will be doing testing and then testing and ensuring that they themselves, like Gautrain has done, they prepare for their state of readiness, because there we're talking of thousands of people. But we envisage Metro Rail opening up at level 3 and full force at level 2. And then level 3 will not also be total opening of the Metro Rail or under Prasa. We will open certain lines that are ready. But we must remember that we are also operating under curfew, meaning from 8 o'clock at night to 5 a.m. we are not expected to be in the streets. So in that context, this service of Gautrain, for now under the curfew in lockdown, it operates from early in the morning up until 7 o'clock. Okay? And then the CEO is here, he can explain the technicalities in terms of time and all of that. But it operates from early in the morning up until 7 o'clock. From there it is shut down till the following day. Because from 8 o'clock at night to 5 a.m. we are not expected to be anywhere else unless if there are exceptions. And that is it. And then the second question was?
Structural innovations in the greater Valley.
Yes, structural innovation must be the new thing. And the money we spend, there must be value for money. When I see money spent on a booth and people just move in, it is innovative, it's highly convenient, it is proper. That's what we want to see. I see these things for people who promote their business and all of that. I see them on social media. I've seen them also in other countries, in particular in Turkey, where they implement the new booth system. So in large spaces, like in the rail network and the taxi ranks, that's the way to go. You disinfect people and at the same time sanitize them. And me and the MEC, we've got that responsibility to roll out that innovation in all the public spaces. But once you are inside the taxi, even before you get into your taxi, when you step out of your house, hold, and you are going to public places, cover yourself. Cover yourself. In terms of a mask, you can use a piece of cloth you've got it. I'm using what is called surgical mask. Now the surgical mask is used in the hospital by advanced doctors like myself, who are qualified from the University of Wisdom. Now doctors like myself and many doctors in the surgery, in the hospitals, they use surgical mask. And then you've got to have a mask, a cloth mask, like you have with the MEC. He's got the Gautrain one. You can produce that at home, but you need a piece of cloth. But over and above, when you get into a taxi, it is the law. The taxi driver must be able to hit you with a sanitizer. But in the case of Gautrain, you have seen this morning, you go through the booth. By the time you get inside the train, you are already sanitized. So that is what it's happening. So that we expect to be replicated in every train station in the Republic where we operate our trains. Next question.
Colleagues, one last question and then I'm going to ask that we swap, please, for time purposes.
Minister in regards to Metro Rail, what exactly do you want to see before level 3, before you are then open them gradually as you go? And with the e-health scanner, are they around all the Gautrain mods, or is it just Hatfield for now?
The scanners, is it only for Gautrain for now? Come close. Don't be that far. Or is it just for, you can explain?
Yeah.
The entire thing. Here's the man who's running the operation, is the CEO, Mr. William Dax. You can ask him questions as well.
Thank you.
And then I only deal with politics, all right?
So the scanners are being piloted now. You are some of the first people to go through the scanners. We're going to be rolling them out through the Gautrain system. We'll then be able to pilot it. If it works, if it's effective, then we can talk to other agencies, other transport agencies, and say how can they roll them out. But we've got to show first that it's effective. It's no use you have a scanner and someone walks through and there's no action. Right, so that's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, is just making sure that it is as effective as it can be before there's major rollout to other systems.
Okay, very quickly, boss, how do you measure success and state of readiness for Metro Rail opening up?
The state of success is that they've got to do the testing, and then they've got to ensure that where we open up for Metro Rail, we are able to run a flawless capacity, and ensuring that it is a capacity that we can actually meet all the health standards. We will not tolerate any congestion. Where there are uncontrollable numbers, people jumping on top of the train, we will close it down if that actually happens. So it is something of importance to remind everybody that coronavirus is catching up with us when we are in the mode of rebuilding PRASA. We've got huge challenges at PRASA, but nonetheless, we can't wait for another day. We've got to ensure that we are able to respond in the manner in which we respond to ensure that we meet the standards. It's not minimum standards. We've got to meet the standards to ensure that Metro Rail itself is able to transport millions of our people, which is huge numbers, on a daily basis, who at the present moment are not all in full force back to work. But even that might be the case, it must operate within the standards. So there's no longer omunye post go munye. That is not going to be allowed. And we are preparing for that in terms of the capacity that we've got. The innovation, like Dax is saying, there's no use to use something that is of no use. And then you spend millions on something that is not working. We in government, we are very popular. We are very popular and well known for fruitless expenditure. In government, people can put up a booth there. It is for the last time. Minister have opened it, and then that will be it. You'll never see it again. You'll hear it in another newspaper as a headline that millions of rands were spent on that thing, and it never worked from day one. It was only there for the cameras. Now, there must be value for money, like the CEO says. You put up a booth at the taxi rank or anywhere else. It must be something that will help us. And you test drive it, you see it. It's fine to see it on WhatsApp groups and to see it on social media, Twitter and Facebook. They've got a booth elsewhere and elsewhere. But the question is it effective? Is it working? Is it value for money? And that's what we'll be monitoring. And how many of these booths we need to put up? It is very convenient because you don't have to be in the mercy of a taxi driver or somebody that will give you a sanitizer. You've got it, you just go through it before you even step inside the train itself. So it's very convenient. It's something that we should be using. It is value for money, and that is what it is important. We've got to roll them out throughout the country. But they will be systematically monitored. And in conclusion, what I want to say is that at the Department of Transport, we've got a team that work with the MECs that monitors the implementation of all the measures that we undertake. The last point I want to address is that you know that there was a big brouhaha. I don't know what is this pressure from SABC, but I want to address this. Yeah, there is a big brouhaha about which I want to take advantage now to address. We are working on that. That the regulations did not speak as we were addressing the long distance people coming back. We did not address the question of how do we integrate long distance to the regulations. You know, this past weekend, people were stranded on the road because they were stopped by law enforcement. You know that. They were stopped by law enforcement from Cape Town and so on, and they were meant to stay overnight because they were stopped from traveling any further because of the curfew. From last night, I was in communication with the Minister of Gautrain, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, with the Minister of Police, Fikile. Today, this morning, we are looking at passing a direction or a determination that enable long distance to be able to be sorted out for the period from the 1st, which the other days have passed, to the 7th, so that we address them, so that we address the exceptional circumstances of long distance, so that they are not affected by the roadblocks, they are not stopped on the road. And I wish to apologize to everybody who got inconvenienced by that. And we are sorting out that issue so that by today, before end of day today, we gazette the direction that will enable long distance travel, particularly public transport, for people to be catered for in terms of long distance traveling. There are people who come from Cape Town using buses. There are people who come from elsewhere using buses, and they were stopped this past weekend. And some of them, they had to stop on the side of the road and so on. So that is what happened. It's a major thing for us in transport. We are sorting it out because we can't just sort it out without looking at the regulations. But the Minister of Transport have consulted with all the counterparts as it is required by the regulations, that we can pass directions. We will look into that so that our directions are not ultra-verse with the regulations. They are very consistent, and we address the part of the time in the context of the curfew, that those who travel from far and the curfew catches them on the road, that we must allow them to pass. So that is the issue that I wish to address you on, and to make you aware that we are attending to it. And before end of the day, I think after our discussions last night, unless something have changed between that time and this morning, we should be able to pass and gazette new directions for long distance travel, for people who are destined to go back to their work as it is prescribed by the regulations, to allow people for once off to go back because they were affected by the lockdown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, boss. Okay, colleagues, we have very few minutes left. Can those who have not been able to come through come closer? The train is waiting for us, so can those who are not able to get their shot please come closer very quickly? Thank you. Can the train wait for us next? Please can you move, colleagues? Those who are done, please can you clear the space for the...
There, the Minister of Transport, Minister Fikile Mbalula, coming from the Senton Gautrain station, where, like many other cabinet ministers, they're looking at how to implement level 4. Alert level 4 regulations, and of course the Disaster Management Act regulations outlining several regulations in terms of what to do in terms of the movement of children and the attendance of funerals, but specifically in relation to transport. It says that the Minister of Transport must ensure that the different modes of public transport are safe for everyone. So that's what he's been doing this morning. At this point, let's welcome our SABC 3 viewers as we go back to our colleague Sipho Stuurman.